My father got that name Busher because before there was National NAA, National Work Agency, there was PWD, which was Public Works Department. I, I could figure quite a you would know that, right? No, he got the name Busher because he was what they called back in those days a foreman with the Public Works Department. No, what that entailed was that he would move around, but he was always based in St. Catherine. So he'd moved around from various districts. And as a result, his 8 children, because Beverly came after, she became number 9, but the 8 children with Gertrude and Alexander were born in different locations in St. Catherine. So Bancroft, Gregory, and Donovan, which were the first 3, were born in outside of Linstead. Just outside, can't seem to get the balance right. Just outside of Linstead, in a little up topside Linstead called Vanity Fair. Now, after that, they moved to Sligoville, where I was born. And then there was Mount Moreland, Thompson Pen, and eventually Point Hill. Point Hill, for who don't know, is a district up in the Wanderbolas Hills of St. Catherine. And that basically was where most of the childhood memories started. Now, there was Donovan, Gregory, Bancroft, and Jeffrey at the time. And you had Donovan, who we called Danny. We had Bancroft, who we called Bunny. And then there was Gregory and Jeffrey. So our 2 names ended with Ray. So we formed 2 teams. So we had the Niz versus the Riz. And that was a thing throughout that period. So whenever we were going to play anything around the house, it was always the Niz against the Riz. But Donovan, being the oldest one, of course, would lead the team that most of the time dominated. So Danny and Bunny would dominate Jeffrey and Gregory most of the time. But so the thing set. Right? So we had exciting times, as can be expected. There are things that, obviously, this is about Bancroft, so I'm going to share some particular memories as it relates to Bancroft himself. Now, while we were at Point Hill, we went through various stages, obviously, of our lives. And most of you, and one of the things that has always stood out, is that all of you, or most of the Bancroft's friends who I've met in recent times, they all share the same memory of him, that he was always smiling, never got upset, was always pleasant, etc. But maybe after this one incident, he probably changed as he grew up. So the 2 things that I can share happened with him. So one of my father's co-worker, for whatever reason, used to call him Bam Bam Cute. Now, I don't know where he got the name from or why, but I can tell you my brother never liked the name, and he goes upset every time this man referred to him as Bam Bam Cute. So one day, obviously, he had reached his wit's end, and he couldn't deal with Bam Bam Cute no more. So they were down. We used to live on the hill, and the office that my father worked was down at on the level, so to speak. And the man, Bancroft, must have walked in at the office, and the man saw him, and Bam Bam Cute, Bam Bam Cute. Can't take it no more, Bam Bam Cute. Bam Bam Cute, Bam Bam Cute. Shut your mouth, you fool, you. Was I censored? Yeah, so, so that at that point, as against what most people know, he got very upset. So there's another occasion which probably broke out him as a peacemaker. There's this guy who was in the office and he was cussing out our father, cussing Papa. He was upset about something. I don't know what it was. Something obviously work related. And the man was up in Papa's face and cussing and going bad. And then all of a sudden, somebody came. And this was Bancroft. Came, yeah? Bunny. Well, Bancroft. Somebody came, and in his hand was this piece of stick with a wire hook on it. And Bancroft just hooked him around his neck. And that ended up just diffusing the whole thing, because when he looked and saw it was this little boy with this hooking him around, all the man could do was just burst out in laughter. And there was it. Everything was diffused. So, as I say, angry peacemaker. And that was, that was our little brother. Now, I know there is a limited time, so I'm going to rush along a little later in life. Eventually, while we're in, my father came from a huge family. He was one of 13. And on the other side, my mom was one of 9. But this directly affected our father's side of the family. Of that 13, only 3 of them had children. So that was my father, obviously, and an auntie, Beryl, who still lived at Vanity Fair, and my brother John, who lived in St. Mary's. His brother John, Mother B, we call her Mother B, Beatrice. So they were the only ones of that 13 who had children. Now, without us knowing, we learned all of that afterwards in life. Between his brother Horace and his wife, all of you probably have heard about Ankit, right? That's where Bancroft spent most of his life afterwards. Apparently, whatever discussion they had, they asked our father, our parents, if one of us could come and live with them in town because they didn't have any children. And they apparently agreed, and that would be what you would consider was the genesis of why we are here today, in the sense that you all got to know Bancroft, because quite possibly, or without a doubt, if he had not come to town to live, then his life would have taken a different route. So we eventually left Point Hill, and my brother Gregory reminded me, I thought he left to live in town from we were in Point Hill. But my brother Gregory reminded me, no, that wasn't the sequence. He left after we moved down to Nollis, which is a district above Bogwalk. So that was another move because of the Public Works Department. So we came down there to live, and Gregory shared with me he could never forget the day, because as kids, they really never told us what they were doing. And just backtrack a bit, Uncle Horace and Aunt Kitty came to visit us while we were in Point Hill. And without us knowing, apparently they came to decide which one of us they would take. And Bancroft ended up being the one chosen for one simple reason. When they were there at the house, Aunt Kitty must have looked and saw Bancroft lying flat on his belly and reading the newspaper. Bancroft reminded me that he was reading the comic strip the day. And, so she probably was impressed that this youngster was there reading, and so they decided that that was the one they wanted to take, or, to come and live with them. So that is how he ended going to them. But Gregory reminded that they didn't move from Point Hill directly, but when we went to Nollis, that's when our father decided that it was time for Bancroft to come and live in Kingston, or go and live in Kingston. And he reminded me how very traumatic it was for him when he saw Papa as we all call him, Papa leaving with his little brother. And he said it really tore him up inside because he's wondering where his little brother going, why Papa taking his little brother away from the house, you know. But that's what happened. And it created a path for Bancroft, the person that most of you know. There are a couple other things Donovan reminded me of, or told me about yesterday. He was a reader. Donovan remembered that there was a cricket match going on at one point, and Bancroft was playing, and he was on the field. And whatever he found, he read. And Donovan remembered one cricket match was happening, and somebody hit the ball. Bancroft was fielding, and he hit the ball in the direction of Bancroft. And only for them to look, see if he was going to take the catch. And Bancroft was standing up on the field, reading some piece of paper that he had found. And he was standing in the field instead of paying attention. He was there reading. Now, fast forward to Kingston. Bancroft was there for a couple of years, and then our father died. And then after our daddy died, I went to live with Simon Kit for a year. I spent a year. And one of the things that amazed me about Bancroft was I went there. When I went there, he was in second form at Excelsior. And I find my brother studying. And he's there studying, and yet he's singing at the top of his voice. Singing whatever song, and he's reading the book and studying. And I'm saying, what are you doing that? How can you manage? He said, this is my way. Don't worry about it. My way this. Right? So he was unique. The thing about a lawyer, I caught it early because I used to read a lot too, and I think I was intelligent and I knew stuff. And what happened was that we would get into discussions, and various times we always ended up in discussions. And I could never end or win a discussion with Bancroft. Even when I knew I was right about the thing, he would argue me out and make it known that what I was saying was incorrect, right? And I remember on at least 3 occasions, I ended up in tears. Yeah, babe. I ended up in tears because I'm there trying to get my point across, and my brother would never make me win. He just kept arguing and countering every point I made. So from back then, I said to him, you look like you're a turn lawyer, you chat so much, argue so much. So, these are just a couple little things that I remember about Bunny that eventually led to Banky that you all know. And, we get to reflect now. And come. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I love my brother, but I was just about to kill him because he went way over the 5 minutes. So just a reminder to the rest of the speakers, we're on a 5-minute time limit, all right? So we had already started late, so we need to just keep on moving. So our next speaker is representing Excelsior High School. She's a former student, teacher, senior president, and the acting principal, Mrs. Allison Peart.
I can promise you I won't be that long at all. The heart, and we have to allow him to speak, So, my tribute is to a great eagle, Excelsior St. Elmo Gordon, on behalf of Excelsior.
Mic check. Are you hearing me? Oh. Let's try it.
Testing. My brothers and sisters in love, there are two facts that all Excelsiorians know for sure. And these are that the word Excelsior means yet higher. And our school motto, Age Animo, translated means do it with thy might. At this time, may I see the hands of all the Excelsiorians in the house? Beautiful. Bancroft St. Elmo Gordon, who hailed from the parish of St. Catherine, attended A. Wesley Powell's Excelsior High School from 1968 to 1974. He was a scholar who fully embraced the meaning of those words throughout his life of loving sports, caring for others, and most importantly, achieving excellence in all his endeavors. Banky, as he was affectionately called by his peers, was a consummate student athlete whose exemplary commitment to representing beloved Excelsior is legendary. His seat on the bench when Excelsior High School participated in and won the under-15 Colts football championship was safely reserved. But that status never deterred him or broke his will. Banky worked assiduously to hone his skills and eventually rose to the prestigious position as captain of the Manning Cup football team of Excelsior High School 4 years later in 1974. His forever friends and teammates, Balf Morrison and Philip Dunbar, can attest to his outstanding leadership style, so worthy of emulation. And I know Balf is here today. I'm not sure where he is. He is in the house, and it is common knowledge that Bancroft Gordon, he mastered 5 major sports, namely hockey, football, basketball, cricket, and track and field. And he holds the distinction of representing Jamaica in hockey, basketball, and football at various levels. Now, who completes a game of football and without missing a beat engages in another competitive match of basketball soon after on the same afternoon? Only Banky. Of such was his exemplary athletic prowess, discipline, and superior drive to achieve excellence, to aim yet higher, and to do it with his might. His colleague and friend, Desmond Shakespeare, whom we all know, describes him as a silky smooth baller who scored freely from midfield. And perhaps one would conclude that his level of participation in sports would have had a negative impact on his academic performance. Strangely, Banky was thought to be mischievous at Excelsior, a frustrated stand-up comedian who regularly disrupted class with his routines, which many deemed less than amusing. But not want to fail at anything, it was rumored that he would spend quality time preparing and practicing his jokes, and he refused to surrender or be deterred until he finally got his colleagues to acknowledge that he was great at it. Now, imagine then the air of disbelief when his classmates learned of his outstanding performance in the GCE ordinary level examinations, and these results propelled him to a sought-after seat in the 6th form en route to his outstanding career as a legal luminary. Another devoted Excelsorian and friend, Dwayne Coombs, hailed the ever-smiling Bancroft Gordon as a man driven by kindness with an enduring passion for philanthropy and social engagement, especially to our alma mater, Excelsior. This beloved mentor and role model was committed to the betterment of others and was evidence that success on the play field and in the classroom are not mutually exclusive. The name Bancroft is of Old English origin, and it means field of beans. Now that interpretation will be left as homework for all of you who knew him well and loved him. As posited by the great artist and poet Khalil Gibran, for what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun, and when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. So dance, Banky, dance. Play one-on-one with your teammate Orville Jigsy Dixon. Jog a mile with fellow Excelsior Neville Mighton. And play scrimmage with all the great ballers like Leonard Chicken Mason, who have gone before. Rest assured, my friend, as night follows day, your rich legacy will stand the test of time, because those who die are never dead to us until they are forgotten. According to George Eliot, you will live forever in our green and gold hearts. So soar on, great eagle, soar on, and may your beautiful and soul rest in perfect peace. And the people all say, Hallelujah. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to have a musical selection for those of you who, oh, I just wanted to correct one thing. Mrs. Spirit said that Banky was excellent in 5 sports. He did participate in all 5, but I don't think he was good in track and field, you know. Because him tell me a story. So one day, him running his 1500 meter, it was Jeffrey, at Champs. And when him realized him come last, him just run out of the stadium, him find an exit and just run out and never complete the sport. So him never excellent in that one at all, but at least he tried, All right, so those of you who know, those of you who knew Banky well, you will know that he loved music. He loved music. So we're going to have a short musical selection, and feel free to sing along as you remember Banky.
Hey, lady. Oh, should I put my trust in you? Or should you let me die? Or should I float around? Why should I feel this way? Thinking that you're going away. There ain't no chance to stay together anymore. I'm had to go on now, living this way, acting like a child so young and gay. You don't know what it means to be loved. You don't know how it feels to be hurt. Oh no.
No disrespect, no disrespect, brother man. This is no disrespect, but could you step aside now? Another man wants to take over, 'cause you don't know what you got, so now it's time to lose it. Step aside now, let me show you how to treat a woman. She needs a tender touch, she needs loving, oh, so much. Now tell me, are you crazy? Leaving her so long, oh, so lonely. Now she's a winner, so you better protect her. Oh, when you're feeling blue, don't know what to do, she will comfort you. She's a dream come true, she will be your friend when you think that it's the end. She's always around, always around. Hey, hey, oh, step aside now.
Took a walk and passed your house late last night. All the shades were
So little known fact, Bancroft attended Central Branch Primary School when he just came to Kingston, and attended, I'm not here, okay. I'm going in and out. So just, I'm a little, I know. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I have to stay like this, right? All right, so little known fact I was sharing a while ago that Banky went to Central Branch Primary School with Dennis Brown. So that's one of the things that, marked his love for music very early. And if you're looking at the program, you will realize that we are trying as best as possible to go in chronological order in terms of Banky's life from school to, his adult life. So next we have a representative from the Lilford United FC. Bancroft played for them while living at number 18 Upper Montrose. So that's where his football, his love for football really started with those guys. So Williams, who is a sales and marketing executive at IRI and Zip FMs, and he's also a tennis coach at Arden High School and the NCB Sports Club, will bring greetings from the Lilford United FC. Thank you.
Greetings. I'm going to start with something like this. Uh, you hear me now? Greetings. A criminal broke into somebody's house. While he was about to steal the stereo, somebody said to him, Jesus is watching you. And he was stopped. Jesus is watching you. He looked around a parrot in the corner and said, who are you? He said, I'm Moses. So who is Jesus? A 150-pound Rottweiler who's looking at you. This is one of Banky's thing that he always done. Try to give jokes. Now, for those of us, I know if you didn't laugh with me, you'd have laughed at me. Got it? I got it. I got it. I got it. Who don't know? Lilford Avenue is nestled between Oak Avenue and Wave Road. It's a quaint little. It's,
Hello?
Thank you. All right, let's go again. It's a quaint little avenue nestled between Oakfield Avenue and Lady Musgrave Road. For those of us who don't know, Oakfield Avenue comes down from up camp, ends up. All right, keep going. All right. For those of us, it ends up at the top of Lady Musgrave. And Lady Musgrave, as you know, starts at King's House and ends up down at somewhere down Trafalgar Road. So that's Lilford Avenue. Now there's a vibrant community right there. And Banky, when he came from Linstead, ended up right there with us. Now we had a football team named Lilford United. Now we competed against teams like Mona, Shortwood, Eric Bell. There you go. And 1976, Lilford was able to win the Eric Bell football competition, and Banky being at the helm of the team. Now, you all know Banky, or if you don't know him, you know of him, and you see that effervescent smile looking at you. Now, Banky's coming down the road, because he lives around the corner at Oakfield, and you could see that smile. I tell you, Alton is a little bit similar. Coming down Lilford Avenue, and he has a football at his feet. Now, Banky, as we all know, played every sport. One day, Banky came on the avenue, and he was missing about 4 of his front teeth. This was a result of playing hockey. And somebody used that hockey stick and smashed 4 of his teeth. Smashed 4 of his teeth. So this is who the man is and was and continues to stay on with us. Banky was the first person that got me to go to the stadium to watch a football match. He was playing for Jamaica against Cuba. And Lilford was like the epicenter of part of his football prowess or his sporting prowess. I tried my best to stay with him on the football field, but he would just salad me up and pile me on. And I thought I was a good footballer at the time. Ali, know that now I have gone on to tennis, and even Ali, even Ali know that I couldn't stay with Banky on a football field. So I just left football, went on to tennis, and ran into Ali, who beat me up a couple of times until I finally got him. But Banky was that type of a person. He pulled you into him. He was always there, and he helped us all and kept us together in every sport. He played with us right in the middle of the streets. We can't do it now because that road has become so busy. But Lilford was a significant part of his coming up. Now, I should have been down in Ocherias at Marcus Garvey celebrations today. But this is how important Banky is, that I'm right here, celebrating his life, a wonderful life. And we should all say, yay.
Thank you, Abba. Thank you for that tribute. All right, so the next step in the journey of Bancroft's football career was Shortwood Football Club. And here to bring word from the Shortwood FC, we have Mr. Delroy Howell, who is the president, the current president of the club. I love to see how the Shortwood guys just come out, you know, and oh God, look at them, oh. Look at them.
Good afternoon. When we were asked to get involved in tribute to a friend and former player of Shortwood, on this occasion, I didn't know what was more difficult, saying goodbye to Banky or being asked to speak for 5 minutes, because everyone knows Banky knows that's impossible. Not 5 months, not 5 years. There's so much about the man. But we're going to try in real Banky style, because as everyone knows about Banky, there was nothing too difficult about trying and overcoming task. First, I must acknowledge we have a large Shortwood contingent outside. I'm going to ask you guys to stand. Could you guys stand outside? If you guys could just turn around. And we have amongst us one of our most gifted footballer, and I think he was the last one from the club to spend some time with Banky. The words legendary, iconic, talismanic are constant fixtures in any conversation about the Shortwood United Football Club luminary Bancroft Banky. This multi-dimensional purveyor of the beautiful game in the colors of Excelsior, Shortwood, Howard University, Jamaica, and Jamaica Nuts of Washington, D.C. shared the planet with the rest of humanity from 1956 to 2023. Banky blazed a trail of academic and multi-sports excellence at Excelsior High School before journeying to Shortwood Road to help write a chapter in personal club and national football history. Shortwood community legend has it that Sprague Gooden persuaded him to join Shortwood. Banky, however, recounts the following in his reflection. written in a soon-to-be-published book about the club's 50th history. I was headed to Shortwood to play Major League in 1975, having graduated from Excelsior High School, because Denzel Lowe was rumored to be their coach. When I got there, I heard he was at Shortwood. On going to Shortwood, I discovered he was not coming there after all. So I decided to go to Cavaliers to join my brethren from range, Lauren Donaldson, David Burgess, etc. However, Mr. Ludd, Planner's father, convinced me to stay at Shortwood. I then brought some brethren from Littlefield, Norris, GK, Dalton, Earl, Ironclaw, and Jebbo. His approach to football was steeped in scientific scholarship, he wrote in the Shortwood history. Sabo, Dr. Chang, was integral to the elevation of the club to Major League final round status. He led us there 2 years in a row. His veterinary clinic was just down the road from Lilford Avenue on Lady Musgrave Road, and I would stop there on my way to practice to discuss tactics with him. He used to utilize the mini vaccination bottles on his surgery table as players and show me the tactical variations he wanted us to employ. He brought his father Gilbert to practice one day to teach me how to strike the ball. He was the one who advised me to strike the ball with the bone of the instep that leads to the big toe instead of the flat of the instep. And ladies and gentlemen, for anyone who plays football, that is one of the most difficult things to do. I tried it, and my big toe is still hurting me. I scored many free kicks over the years with this method. In the second year of this youngster's Shortwood career, Bancroft was already a talismanic figure in the team. Shortwood United continued to participate in the Major League, losing quarterfinalists. Banky, as he was by no known in football circles, was eventually voted Player of the Year. He went on to embellish the status of Shortwood team by becoming the first player from the club on Shortwood Road to represent Jamaica. And I repeat that again. He was the first player from the club to represent Jamaica national. The event preceded the elevation of Banky and Shortwood United to the vantage of the football landscape and recounted by the former club president, David Jaddy Pinnock. In 1977, when the club returned to the stadium to play in the quarterfinals, we were scheduled to play the iconic Red Brigade Boys Town Football Club. Shortwood had a secret weapon that only Zone 5 clubs knew about. Tonight, though, against Color Red, the secret would be revealed as the national team's weapon. The Red Brigade were the first to make the nets shake, but it wasn't much longer that we had to wait for Paul Waller Mitchell, who resided on Ford Lane Plain, to latch onto a pass from the midfield general, giving goalkeeper Respic no chance as Shortwood would equalize. The score remained the same until the end of regulation. George Thompson, the national coach at the time, had seen enough, and Bancroft was called to the national duty for the first time. The club has had very few representatives done in national colors. Beauty, Buki, and General Dugan come to mind. No matter how long and tedious the journey is, it must begin with the opening door and matching the first step. Banky made that first step, and more ballers need to follow in his direction. Ultimate balance embodied in his personage of this quite essential footballer is reflected in the way he owned the midfield position for Shortwood and Jamaica. His club president at the time when he first received the Jamaica call-up, Crawford Bubba West, expressed it in the most succinct manner. Bancroft is the best and most complete player to wear red and gold. Danny Curry, a respected club pioneer of long-standing vintage Alfred Banky, was my idol, not because of his soccer prowess. It was his loyalty and integrity that struck a chord. And I repeat again, it was his loyalty and integrity that struck a chord. Pablo, the original Shortwood chef and juice man, provided insight into the often understated kindness of this man. Banky would regularly order juice and festival and corn and green and would never come to collect it. He always sent youths who needed it more than him, saying, "Make Pablo give the youth them some things, man." Banky's internal personal equilibrium found expression in his even temperament and enduring determination to be a useful human being to those with less financial resources or in need of guidance. Jadi recalled an incident that epitomized the wisdom and equanimity of the man. He told of how Banky diffused the hostility of Coberite, who had hurled a battle at Banky in protest of how Banky was officiating a game. Banky avoided bloodshed through agility, calmness, and even temperament. Another ever-present and committed member of the Shortwood hierarchy, Byron Nelibop Dunes, owes much of his attachment to Shortwood to the inspiration of Banky. This protege of a midfield genius made every effort to emulate his skill and commitment to the club. He even took the wearing of Banky's famed number 13 jersey. When the maestro moved on, it was as if the midfield general had left a diminutive version of himself. Determined to perpetuate his legacy, Byron recounts an incident that combines Banky industry, skill, team spirit, and compassionate bent when he recalled it was on a day when we were playing Barbican after they got back all their skilled players and had previously represented Shortwood. Since Cassava had admitted Barbican into the Major League, the Shortwood strike force, which was mainly Barbican players, went back home and were now going to play Shortwood that Saturday. The incomparable Bancroft Garden was going to be without many of his most effective partners on that day. While myself and my brother Chappie were preparing for the game, Kaya Cat came up riding his S90 motorbike with the message that Banky, our midfield general, was alone at Shortwood marking the field. When we went to help, Banky was there with a cut-off cheese tin containing white lime, flashing the line to mark out the field. We all helped, and within 45 minutes to an hour, the job was done. The star player even went out of his way to ensure that food was available for us and the preparation of the team. I think the game that day could be considered one of his very best for the club. Running from 18 yards to 18 yards, doing everything on a beautiful surface. The high point was when he received a beautiful square from Ray Planner, the brother of Wapsie Fisher. The pass was perfectly measured, so the goalie was convinced he had a chance to intercept. When he realized that his effort was doomed to failure and turned to lunge towards the perfectly positioned Banky, it was too late. Great goal, great game, one of the greatest moments of the legend himself. The player who achieved monarch status at Shortwood also showed himself to be a dedicated servant of the club and his fellow teammates. He left Jamaica on a national scholarship to pursue tertiary education at Howard University, where he excelled and graduated summa cum laude. His next academic project was the prestigious Harvard Law School, and we are happy to say that it started at Shortwood. Banky went on to become the corporate attorney for the Marriott Group in the United States, and ladies and gentlemen, Marriott is one of the largest groups in the United States. Throughout this academic and professional sojourn spanning multiple decades, he never left the club, and his commitment to its development never dimmed. His involvement in all initiatives to assist Shortwood or to help any individual player was an hallmark of his engagement with the club over the years. A mere few days before his earthly exit, Bancroft Gardner, retired corporate attorney in Washington, D.C., attended Shortwood Major League team final game at Olympic Garden. And I remember that day so clearly because I was at home. I wasn't feeling 100, and I got a call from Ollie, and he said, "Hey, we're at the back of your house, and Banky want to ride with you to go to watch the game." And I said, hey, Ali, I'm not feeling 100, but I'm going to try. So I got a call from the lab, and they gave me an earlier time, and I was able to make the game, the Olympic game. And I was with Banky, and we were there laughing and chatting, drinking some corn soup, and having a Heineken. But I didn't know it was going to be the last time standing with Banky. Had I known, maybe I would give him my hug. So, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we got to spend time with our loved ones because we never know when it's going to be the final moment. I apologize, I'm sharing some tears, but memories does that sometimes. He gave the grateful players an inspiring pep talk. This Shortwood giant was an active member of the Friends of Shortwood WhatsApp group and was very integral part of the collective involved in the publication of the book on the 50th year anniversary of the club. Many meetings were entertained by quick-witted exchange between himself and Jadi about some historical and philosophical nuance about which they had different interpretation and recollection. Who was Bancroft Gordon? What is his legacy? This was a man for all seasons. He came to Shortwood United Football Club and found an infant organization imbued with energy and possibility. He helped harness that potential to build a community giant. In a way, Shortwood United Football Club helped Father Banky, and the football genius was also one of the early fathers of the Shortwood football character and spirit. This special symbiotic relationship is rare and beautiful. The beauty emerges from the way this football and intellectual prodigy became engulfed in the culture and personality of the club and made it much richer. He came there, he played there, he learned there, he developed there, and he won and lost there. When he left there, he remained there. Banky has exited this plane of existence, but he has achieved immortality. His legacy is so sturdily built that the passage of time will be powerless against its meaning and influence. He will live forever in the immortal fabric of Shortwood United Football Club. Long live Bancroft Gordon. And on a personal note, from my family to the family of Banky, wish you all condolences, and I want us to continue that relationship and that brotherly love in all aspects of our life. We want to present, we have a card here that is signed by all the players and friends of Banky, and we also have a jersey present to his son, Jalma. And we have a card for you as well. Thank you. And we also have a rendition of What Friends Are For that our lovely saxophonist will play. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for that rendition. All right, so remember, please, I'm going to ask the rest of our speakers. I know it's hard to confine Banky to 5 minutes. It's very difficult, but as you can see, the time is going, so we're going to ask if you could please just try and remember to, let's see, within that 5 minute limit. Can somebody do me a favor? Whichever table the guest book is at, could you please just raise your hand? Somebody at the table. Oh, there. There. All right, so this is my little secret now, when I was a younger person, because, me getting up in age, there are two gentlemen on TV that I used to try, two sportscasters, and I used to try to figure out which one of them looked better than the other and which one of them I would marry if they were single. All right, so one of those gentlemen was Linda Delapenna, the late Linda Delapenna, and the other, of course, was Mr. Ali McNabb, who is here with us today, bringing word on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sports, Ms. Olivia Babsy Grange.
Thank you so much. But it was a no contest. I'm way better looking than Lindy, whatever was. Today I wear a number of hats. Are you hearing me? That of a friend, fellow footballer, and many other things. And as you might have heard, I'm advisor to Minister Grange, who, whether fortunately or unfortunately, is in Budapest at the World Games. I should have been there with her, but I fell ill. I had a little touch of the flu, and I'm now fully recovered, but too late to go to Budapest. But before I read the minister's message, I have to tell you, I don't like Banky. Never liked him. The boy's too talented. And of course, he was hard to dislike. This guy had a personality, you just had to like him. Last year I celebrated my 75th birthday. And thank you. And I had a big to-do. 75th is a big thing. And I just kind of refurbished the place, proud of the place, and invited some friends. I didn't invite Howard McIntosh, because I'm not my friend. I invited Chris Darren, but Chris was away. In fact, Chris was the man who introduced me to the lady who is so special in my life many years ago. So I have to be on my best behavior. But I didn't invite Howard Mac. And I'm on stage trying to do a thing, and like I'm a singer with Tony Rebel, who was there. When I look, I see Big Mac walking through the door, and with a bunch of people. And when I looked beside Big Mac, there was this guy in this yellow plaid pants, looking like somebody from way back when, which is Arnold Palmer and those people. Not Banky. But I was so happy that he came. But I messed him up on Facebook. I spoke very openly on how he crashed my party, and I didn't invite him. And unfortunately, I was with the minister in Florida at the erection of the Usain Bolt statue when he came here to play. And we were supposed to be fellow strikers. So I called Carl Brown, who many of you know is my best friend from Boys Town. And Banky was there, so I had the pleasure of speaking to him. And you know the first thing, Martin had been scored 2 goals, and start boasting off on me. But another thing that connects me and Banky is that he died at 66. My father died at 66 years of age. And Banky was a young boy running up and down, but I didn't see my father looking young and running up and down, but the age. And he packed so much into those 66 years. Testimony of that are all of us that are here today, celebrating. We all have all kinds of stories. So I don't want to dwell on the part of it that we lost Banky. I want to join in all of you in this celebration. And to his children, listen, let me tell you something. You had a father that was second to none. Second to none. You know, I didn't know Banky very well. And in my coaching career, I had 7 players that ended up being considered for scholarships at Howard. And with Banky's help, speaking to him on the phone, not knowing him very well, he was able to get 5 of those players into Howard. And you just had the Shortwood members here. I ended up coaching Shortwood. So after a game, Banky and I would be on the phone talking about the game. He was just so connected to Shortwood. And I could go on and on, but I know we're on a time schedule, and I have a message from the minister, so I don't want to lose my job as her advisor, so I'd better get to that. As I said, Minister Grange is away, and when the speech was being put together, normally she puts a speech together and just allow whoever is representing her to deal with it. But she wanted to look this one over because she was so attached, and it's a heartfelt message. So let me get into it. Bancroft, Banky Gordon had a big life, and that life touched many people during his relatively short time with us. As was mentioned, he's only 66 years of age. Not too many people whom he met and who did not have something wonderful to say about Banky. He truly had a gift to connect with people, understood them, make them feel special, and most importantly, in a vast number of cases, gave them assistance. So like hundreds of others, I'm deeply saddened by the death of this former national footballer, who ironically died whilst visiting his homeland from his adopted home, the USA, where he lived after leaving home soil. He was a talented soul, so talented in fact that he represented his alma mater, as you may have heard, Excelsior High, in 5 sports, settling on finally on football as his focus. And of course, he went on to represent Jamaica from 1976 to 1979. He also played professional football in the USA for 2 seasons. To say calling him a brilliant baller is an understatement. Also a brilliant lawyer. He was a top-notch student at Howard University and at Harvard Law School. He was employed by the Fortune 500 corporation, Marriott International, Inc., as its vice president, assistant general counsel, and corporate secretary. And I don't know if most of you know that the Courtyard Marriott that's here in Jamaica was influenced and brought to Jamaica by Banky's influence in bringing it here. He was also a board member of the Maryland Chamber of Commerce. Banky never lost contact with Jamaica and of course Jamaica's football program. And over the years he provided great assistance to national teams and various clubs. And so the minister, as the Minister of Sport, whose ministry has to provide tangible support to all sporting bodies in Jamaica, she is thankful and pleased to acknowledge others who provide assistance to sport. And so, in Banky's absence, you might say, I offer my own thanks to this great man for his lifelong support of the sport of football. And when I mention heartfelt, this is the part she put in. She says, one day we will meet up there, up in the sky. I will express my gratitude to him face to face. So on behalf of the minister, condolences to Bancroft's sons, Jalma, Roland, his daughters, Jaquine and Mackenzie, along with his other family members and associates, and to the football fraternity. May the angels welcome him home with open arms, and our Creator grant him peace and eternal ease. I would like to hand these words over to you, a family member, on behalf of the minister. Thank you so much for allowing us to share in this occasion and sharing a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Sir Ali McNabb. Thank you very much. All right, so at this moment we're going to have a video compilation of some of Banky's, just a couple of his speeches that he has given over time, and I think it includes a piece of the last talk he had with some students on their way to Howard University. So, thank you. All right, so we're going to ask you to look on the wall. It's a little bit dim because daylight is still out, but just please focus on the wall.
Excited because I have with me today a gentleman who, when I came to Washington, D.C. in 1989, I've never met him before then, and actually didn't met him until I graduated from Howard University and started playing soccer locally. But then everywhere I went, I kept hearing this name of this gentleman who has done some tremendous things. A gentleman that if you were ever to see him, you would never imagine the amount of things that he has accomplished. Not only in his career, he's a scholar, he's an athlete, but more importantly, he's a humanitarian who really looks out for people in various and sundry ways. Ladies and gentlemen, today my guest is none other than Mr. Bancroft Gordon. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Bancroft Gordon, you know, your background, your history, growing up, and things of that nature.
My pleasure. So let me just preface all this by saying to all your listeners, especially the young ones out there, that when I was born in the humble town of Winston, St. Catherine, just outside of Kingston, there was no script for me that I would envision me going to becoming the corporate secretary of Marriott International. You know, it's like, okay, a little country boy from a third world country. You know, you can't have a script that says, here's what you're going to do next and here's what you're going to do next. You'd like to think you can, but basically all you can do is create good things, you know, all your basic academic stuff, maximize your athletic potential, whatever it is that you think you're good at, maximize that, and then when the opportunities present themselves, jump on them. So that at the end of the day, you may have said when you were young, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, or whatever it is, but to get there, there's no script. And the best thing for you to do is to do the basic preparation, make sure that when the opportunity knocks, you're able to jump on it. And that, I can say, is what I did in my life.
A beloved pillar of the Jamaican diaspora has died. Bancroft Banky Gordon passed peacefully in his sleep on Tuesday, July 18, 2023 in Kingston, Jamaica. Banky was an inspiration to many through his love of sports and his passion for the island. The 66-year-old is remembered by many for his professional achievements as a former attorney at law and a past corporate secretary and assistant general counsel of Marriott International. A resident of Maryland for 40 years, his was a journey that saw him begin his formal education at the Excelsior High School before gaining a scholarship to attend Howard University. It was there that the former Jamaica national footballer opened a pathway to fellow Jamaicans that has remained open until this day.
When I came to Howard, it was soccer and academic. So the coach kind of gravitated towards me, and said, okay, name anybody that you want to bring up. So I brought people that were very, very, not just soccer oriented, but had done the A level at P, of course, Michael, Gerald Dugan, his brother here, Peter, Carlton Briscoe, Gilbert McPherson from Cornwall. Everybody I brought was someone who could establish the same tradition that I had established.
A tradition of excellence that would, after graduating summa cum laude from Howard University with a BA in economics, saw his acceptance to Harvard University's law school, where he was one of only 6 collegiate athletes from across the United States to receive an NCAA postgraduate scholarship. In perhaps one of his last public appearances before his passing, Banky shared in his own words what it truly means to be a trailblazer.
At last count, I think we had about 14 people that started our scholarship. So that's the challenge to you guys. When you go up there, make your mark. But when you make your mark, you're not just helping yourself, you know, that's people that coming behind you.
Paving the way.
Yeah, people that coming behind you. So you just always think about that. It's not just about you. It's about everybody else.
With an engaging nature and warm personality, his commitment to improving the opportunities of those he could has ensured that Bancroft Banky Gordon graduates from this life knowing that he was successful in becoming the change he wanted to see in the world.
That's the mark you need to make to bring other people behind you and give them the same chance that you have experienced. Okay? So that's my last word.
Knock, knock, knocking on a heaven's door, boy. Knock, knock, knocking on a heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on a heaven's door, boy. Knock, knock, knocking on a heaven's door.
Just hearing him say last words is just... All right, so growing up and hearing Banky speak, you know, we had family gatherings or, you know, he's home visiting and talking with our siblings and family, you know, other family and friends. This name is always, always, always mentioned. I've been hearing about Coach Lincoln Phillips since as far back as I can remember. And so, Coach, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us how instrumental you were in Bancroft's football career. Coach Lincoln Phillips, former Trinidadian footballer and coach extraordinaire.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd like to welcome each one of you here to celebrate the legacy of Banky Gordon. I want Mike McPhee, McPherson, I call him McPhee, making it possible for us to be here. Mike, you will never understand what this means to me and my family. We were very close, very, very close to Banky. I also represent my family, Sheldon, Sean, Gregory, and Derek, who were very close to Banky. I represent them. I represent the Howard University family. I know that we have a few Howard University players. Will you stand, please? Howard University players. These are the fine people who set the tone. Said, when you go outside there and be successful, don't leave it there. Look out, pave the way for others. And who stood up, paved the way for Banky, the Renaissance man. Your supreme efforts would not have Banky. On behalf of those folks that I'm represented, we offer our sincerest congratulations. The life of Bancroft Gordon reads like a story. It reads like a documentary. It reads like a movie. We should do something about it. Because this is a young man who has traveled from success to significance. Let me explain that. See, success is an individual thing. You work hard, you come from simple beginnings, humble beginnings, you work hard, and you become successful. But after you become successful, when you turn around and help others become successful, that is significant. And you have heard from all the previous speakers, and you'll hear from other speakers, Bancroft Gordon has always been the type of person to not only be looking at his own success, but the others behind him. You've got to understand where Bancroft came from. I was the coach at Howard University. My name is Lincoln Phillips. Coach Lincoln Phillips. Please remember that. It is important because doctors save lives, but you know, coaches influence and shape lives of people. And I'm very proud to be a coach. I'm very proud to be part of Banky's life. And you have to understand how Banky came about. In 1971, I went to Howard University and became the first black to win an NCAA championship. Thank you. Most of my players were from Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad originally. But some folks from Howard University and a very good friend of mine, a philosopher, a Jamaican philosopher, Winston Chaffer. I make no bones, no reservations about that. Okay? He called me and he said, Filippo, I have some gems for you. And I know what he means by that. And so when we played our championship in Miami, we decided to torch to come and see 4 players. We had an opportunity to play against the national U team, and we came down to see 4 players. The first player was Bertram Beckett. Poetry in motion. He would jump in the air to head a ball, turn around, and head it to somebody. Then we had by the name of Mario McLennan, a little fella. Oh, Lord. He smacked one of my players into the track with a tackle. I said, that's my man. I like that. And then we heard about a guy named Barnaby, General Barnaby. Keith Tulloch. Now, I had a central defender, my captain. He was a tall, light-skinned guy, just like Barnaby, and a great center midfielder, right-footed. And when I saw Barnaby run outside there, I said, oh my God, we have trouble today. I mean, all his, they were on point, and he was left-footed. So I had 2 great central midfielders, one right, one left. I did not come for a forward, but then there was a little wiry guy by the name of Richard Davey. We call him Real Kill. You know what Real Kill does to insects? He destroys them. And that's what he did over the years. He actually destroyed people. So I just knew he could not be a bright boy. He was too good. I went into the dressing room. I said, Chungy, who's that on number 10? Chungy said, that one. I said, that little fella? So I asked him how many passes you have. And I know he's going to tell me about 1 or 2. He said 9. I said, what? In what? Physics, chemistry. I said, you want to go to Howard, boy? Okay. He came up, and boys came up after we won the championship. The boys came up, all 4 of them. They came up, and that team that we had, the championship team, was improved by 60% with the addition of these players. And then on the way, we picked up Paul Pringle. Paul Pringle was my glue. Paul plays center forward. Yes, coach, 2 goals. Paul play right. Yes, coach, 2 assists. Paul play wherever. Yes, coach. Paul was one of the best all-round player I believe that I've ever coached. Then we had Michael Davey. Michael Davey was a legal criminal in the back. when you will, when Michael tackled you, you will curse your mother for giving birth to you. So these players all went on and helped us. We 1971 championship, the NCAA took that championship away from the all black schools, so we're not supposed to. In 1972, when the team improved 60%, well, they thought that we were going to have a legacy, and they decided to suspend many of our players and put us on 1-year probation. Now, in 1974, with the Jamaicans and the Trinidadians and the Africans, we played 19 games, and we won all 19 games. It is the first time any university ever won a championship untied and unbeaten. We scored 63 goals and we gave up 63 goals because Richard Davey was the chief assist on the left wing. And we gave up 3 goals because Michael Davey was in defense. So to me, the pipeline, the Jamaican pipeline was a real good one. So anytime anybody said, I have this player from Jamaica. Yes. And so Winston Chung again. Now the Davies kept telling me about this Bancroft Gordon. See, Coach Banky, real good. Coach, you had to get Banky. So Winston Chung called me and he said, Filippo, nice house, little house, humble, clean, but he could feel nice house, little house, humble, clean, but he could feel, you could just feel the love bouncing off of it. And we sat down and we spoke for a while, great conversation, very mature conversations, this 18-year-old. Then I asked him, Banky, why Howard University? He said, Coach, I wanted to go to the university, but we have no money. There's no way I could afford going to a university. People who went to universities came back, and I helped them. I helped many people go to universities, but I don't have. Until the Howard University came, he realized that, hey, I could play football and get a scholarship. So when Chung called me, that was the introduction. Then I asked him why. That told me that I have a champion. I want to be a lawyer. Bingo, goal-oriented. Why you want to be a lawyer? He said, because I know a lot of people, and if I become a lawyer, I can help more. And that told me Bancroft Gordon was. Bancroft Gordon had humanity. Humanity. A person with that human factor is someone who is not only successful, but he reaches back and helps others become successful. And that's significant. If I'm a cinematographer or whatever they call it, I would call that film success, from success to significance. I would call it that. Because that was what Banky was all about. Banky, and he came to Howard. The first time I saw him run Barnaby, I said, oh my God, he looked good. He run good. And he was just smooth. His ball control was exquisite. He was just an outstanding player. He could play anywhere, but I had him play in the central defender. He had to be my minister of defense. Well, this is where Banky and I sort of, disagreed. Banky picked up the ball one day and ran straight through my defense, ran straight through the team, and we scored. And as he's going through, I'm saying, Banky, Banky, Banky. He took it and he did it again. I said, he said, cool it, coach. He's a freshman. This is a freshman. Okay? He was perfect. Almost. And one time he erred. We were playing up in Davis and Elkins. And you know what it gives with a lot of some of these folks. And I'm not going to say the N-word. I said nigger. One of the players called him a nigger. And Bancroft didn't like it. And Bancroft took after him. The game is going on, and these two players, Bancroft, I'm so happy that Bancroft get him because Bancroft would have killed him. Right? They put him off. We were leading the game 2-0 easily. We gave up 2 goals in 10 minutes and lost in overtime. When I got into the dressing room, I said, Banky, you lost this game for us. Because of your selfishness, you decide to satisfy your ego and left your team. You have to understand what your role is in this team. I said, do you know what a tent looks like? You know the pole in the center, the holes of the tent? That's you. You must understand your role, and if anybody calls you a nigger, so what? Ball at the back of the net. Don't get mad, get smart. I don't know why folks are making such a big thing about somebody calling you these names. When we got back home, my office, Banky was at the door. He said, Coach, I'm not here to apologize. I like that. Because people could say, oh, I'm sorry. He said, I'm not here to apologize. It is man and man talking. He said, I understand exactly what you said, and I can promise you it will never happen again. And the following year, now I usually choose my captains, you know. I like to choose somebody who I could converse with. I usually choose my captains. But I said, let me try something this time. I said, who you guys want to be the captain? Banky. Everybody. And Banky led my team. And unfortunately, at the end of the season, I had some disagreements with Howard University, and they decided not to renew my contract. When Banky heard that, Banky decided to write letters and put them all over the place. You're messing with my coach. The athletic director said, you know you could lose your scholarship. Banky said, so what? Loyalty. Right down to the end. To make a long story short, I'm cutting it. Banky went on and graduated, top of the class. He said, Coach, finish. But I'm in a dilemma. I got a full scholarship from Howard, and I get a half scholarship from Harvard. I said, go Harvard. He said, Coach, but it's a lot of money. And so, yeah. I said, yeah. Girlfriend, you like her? You love her? Yeah. I said, get married to her. Because going to Boston to do law degree is an intellectual boot camp. And when you get that pressure and the coal, you've got to understand everything you need and want is home. Yeah, that boy. He graduated, went to Freddie Mac, did an excellent job there. And because I'm telling you that humility, this human factor, humanity, once you have that, if you're a lawyer, you're going to be the best lawyer. Once you're a doctor, you're going to be the best doctor. Because a person with humanity is a person that serves and looks out for you. Is a person that knows what is wrong with you at the right time and delivers. That is that type of person. And so Banky, as a result of Banky's legal acumen, Marriott picked him up, just like I picked him up. And the rest is history. Okay? That was the beginning of Banky, the Renaissance man. And Banky and I, we stayed together. And one of the big things Banky wanted, we were planning. we're planning, Banky, McPhee, and myself to come back to Jamaica and talk to the guys in high school and let them know, because everybody wants to play pro now and they're forgetting their education. And so Banky and McPhee was headstrong. They said, hey, coach, are you going to come back with us? I said, yes. So it's very important that you folks who deal with soccer, your folks in the ministry and in the government, whoever is dealing with our young people, once they start to play good, educate them. Because if you don't do it, you will not have another Banky. You've got to teach them to read and write and teach the little crumb snatchers how to cook. Because Barnaby and all these guys ate all my wife's food. Every time they came to the house, then they had the refrigerator was empty. But she feed them with a lot of love. But in all seriousness, okay, it is our duty to send them to play pro, but they can be educated pros. Okay? Very important. Banky got the opportunity to become a Renaissance person, but he had background. And where did he get it from? His family, from Jamaica. He had it. And when that opportunity came, he flew. So many of our young people get opportunities and they go outside there and they play, and after they finish playing, nothing. So this was Banky's legacy, and I hope Banky's legacy and McPhee's legacy, we hope it does not die with Banky's passing. And I hope that we continue to educate these young people, help them to read and write, or else we sending them into slavery again. And so, gentlemen, let me finish here. I think this referee is looking at me. And she has the red card out already. So thank you so much on behalf of everybody I mentioned. And we wish Banky our sincerest condolences, and may he rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Coach. Thank you very much. So we have 5 speakers left, and I'm going to implore us again, please, let us see if we can cut it down to 5 minutes. I know it's difficult, but let us see if we can. Time is going. All right, so next on our list, representing Banky's time at Harvard University, we have Judge Maurice Ross. He is a judge in the Superior Court of the District of Columbia, here to share from Harvard University.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay. There are few people whose reputation precedes them, but Bancroft St. Elmo Gordon was one man who earned that distinction. On the second or third day at Harvard Law School, a classmate knocked on my door. When I opened the door, she displayed with great excitement an article in Jet magazine. You see the article? It featured Bancroft Gordon, a Jamaican native who starred in both soccer in the classroom before graduating Phi Beta Kappa from Howard University with a 3.93 average. My classmate asked anxiously if I had met this Gordon guy and was he available. A few days later, I actually met Bancroft, as he was known, at the law school. His charm, optimism, and sunny disposition were immediately apparent. However, over the next 40 years, I would learn that there was so much more to Bancroft. Although we worked together for 8 of our first 15 years out of law school, we really bonded in the last 20 years over golf. And today, I just want to touch, in less than 5 minutes, on how one saw so many wonderful aspects of Bancroft on the golf course. Family aside, golf was his third love, behind his native Jamaica and soccer. When you arrived at the course, you usually could spot him at the range or practice area in his sartorial splendor. A bright outfit with matching shoes and hat. The clothes were an outward manifestation of his style and vibrant demeanor. He was at the range or practice area because he prepared for everything, whether it was a client consultation, a board meeting, a golf match, or apparently a high school jokester. Always the quintessential A student and great athlete. I first witnessed his athleticism when we were summer associates at Sharp Pittman in 1985. He picked up a tennis racket for the first time and made the semifinals of the firm tennis tournament. People at the Chevy Chase Club watched in amazement as he ran around the tennis court in full soccer attire. Jersey, short, and socks, instead of the nondescript tennis whites. Of course, typical Bancroft, he was totally oblivious at all the chatter, just hitting the tennis ball and enjoying himself. Likewise, last weekend when I was down in Williamsburg, Virginia, playing the plantation course, I thought back to when I played the course 4 years ago with Bancroft, and I recalled the 240-yard 4-iron he hit from the woods, over the water, onto the green, sticking the landing as if it was no big deal. Bancroft could really hit a golf ball with that unique cricket-like swing of the club. Bancroft was a gamer, competitor, and barometer for all of us. We measured our golf game against his, and he was competitive, but he was a great sport. He wanted to have the low round, but he cheered us all on and was happy for our great shots and low rounds. Last year, he attempted to cut back to 3 or 4 days of golf a week. However, this was a problem for Bancroft because he had such large and diverse groups who always wanted him to join the foursome or play in a tournament because he was that guy who everyone loved. Beyond golf, there was so much more to the man. He always was a patient gentleman with even the slowest hacker who the starter added to our group. He was the first person in the group to get a golf rangefinder, and for years, he stopped his cart at everyone else's ball first, hopped out, and told each person the distance that person had to the hole before he went to his own ball. He loved helping others and being of service to others. Moreover, he stayed positive and optimistic. I barely missed thousands of putts, but each time he would say, "Hard luck, next time." Finally, he was generous. He always would say, "Give the young lady driving the beverage cart an extra $1 because it means so little to you, but so much to her." Likewise, at his club, he would give the server his member number and say, and add a generous tip for yourself. Off the course, he opened his home and gave financial support to many students and soccer players. Through them, his children, and all of us, the legacy endures for the man whose reputation preceded him. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Judge Ross, for that wonderful tribute. All right, so next we have Keith from the Jamaica Nuts football team. Keith, 5 minutes. 5. Come on up, Keith Teller from the Jamaica Nuts team. No, sir, Keith, draw out one book.
It's short.
It's short.
It's short. It's short. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My condolences to the Gordon family. Some of you know me, and if you didn't, by the time Coach Phillips finished, you know me now. Name is Keith Tuller. Family, friends, and the football world know me as Barnaby. I must first thank you all for the family, for allowing me to be part of this celebration of life for my fallen brother and teammate, Bancroft Gordon. As we all know, Banky spent a great deal of his life on earth impacting and investing in the lives of others. He was blessed with a gift, and he wasn't selfish with it. He sowed it in the lives of many, many others. We are all witnesses to how much fruit his noble investment has yielded over the years and for Jamaica Nuts football team. Banky was an iconic figure to the team and the Washington, D.C. community, as most of our speakers have already said. His journey with Jamaica Nuts spanned over 40 years, and there's no way that I can cover all the aspects of that journey. But I'd just like to share some of the highlights of Banky's 44 years with Jamaica Nuts. And it's going to happen real fast, because I time this. Banky walked straight into the starting 11 of the Jamaica Nuts football team when he came to Washington, D.C. to attend Howard University on a football scholarship. We understood that the Davy clan of football, particularly Kenneth, Harry, Dirty Harry Davy, had told Coach Phillips of Banky's solid football talents and capacity, as well as his stellar academic achievements, resulting in Coach going after this young man. The Jamaica Nuts team originated in the 1960s through what we understand to have been the Embassy Soccer League for that period. Them never really win much game. All the other team, them beat them up. With the Nuts team somewhat affiliated with the Jamaican Embassy during the 1970s, and Coach Lincoln Phillips recruiting yours truly and 4 other big baller. The team became more powerful with the influx, and we began to win a lot of games. And people began to notice Jamaica Nuts. Banky most likely played a Nuts game before he played for HU. As I can tell you, they referred to me as Skip. And the first time he came, I didn't see him play, heard about him. But you must understand that when he came to Jamaica Nuts, he had 12 national players on the team. Hard to pick, hard to remove a player. He came to me one day at a game, yelled me up, said, boy, Skip, I know I can't join it now. I said, all right, man, we see how it go. Following week, we had another game. We'll probably beat, I think we beat our team something like 3 or 4 love, and I decided to bring Banky in about 25 minutes. And let me tell you, after that 25 minutes was up, I know I was going to have a problem. Because I have some senior footballer on the team. I was the skipper, the manager, pick the side, take off player, play. It was all good. I could do it at the time. As HU worked with Banky to recruit scholarship, new athletes of the varsity team, those recruits also were brought to Nuts. That's the 1980s generation. People like McP, Peter Dugan, Gerald Dugan, Gigi. While studying law at Harvard University, Banky returned to Washington, D.C. on several occasions to play for Nuts in league games and tournaments. As a forever starter, Banky can play anywhere. Center half, goalkeeper, wing back, midfield, center forward, anything you take him. So you can't leave him on the bench. Can play anywhere. Banky was capable of and played every position on the field, no exception. He returned to Washington after law school and continued playing for us. In the late 1980s, Banky took on another role as the benefactor of Nuts. Now his situation was changing. From the early 1910s, Banky became the player coach, and together with Nuts manager Elvis Powell, who could not attend, Nuts became the home away from home to a stream of young football players. Banky sought out and recruited hundreds of talented and at sometimes destitute footballers and gave them a place, a sanctuary, a home, and guidance. With Banky and Nuts, they enjoyed football excellence, not a passion, but into their future and built their own families, young people. And these were players who weren't necessarily Howard University bound. The dynamics of Jamaica Nuts changed over the years because it was primarily a university soccer team. Some of those Nuts players continue to emulate the stellar way in which Banky led his life. One stated, Banky's Nuts was the best time of my life. Banky was a dear friend, brother to me, and his presence will be forever missed. I didn't have this in the program, but I think I need to do this. Jamaica Nuts players who are here, who played with Banky, please stand. Don't talking about coaching now, you know. Played with Banky. People, I want you to look at these players. Look at that. In closing, I just like to share a Hebrew proverb. Say nothing but thankfulness that he was. I invite each of us to keep Banky alive in our hearts. Thank you. God bless. Rest in peace, my brother, until I meet again.
Yes, so Keith was so obedient. He tried his best to stick to the 5 minutes. All right, so due to the fact that we're running very late and people are hungry and we need to get a move on, we're going to skip the musical selection and we are going to go over to Courtney, representing Freddie Mac. Banky's days at Freddie Mac, and Courtney, you only have 3 minutes.
I promise I will be quick. Everybody else promised, and they didn't meet it, so I will meet it. My reflection is a simple one. It's how Bank met Bancroft, and during that time. Let me, like those movies that start with the end, let me do a little thing like that, and then we go to the beginning of the movie. Bancroft and I, we were supposed to play golf on this Saturday before. Said, Courtney, let's play golf. And we were supposed to play in a tournament, myself, Ali, Chris Daring, Patrick is here, he came from DC, and the governor of Maryland. And something happened, we all couldn't play, and Banky said, you know what, you guys go ahead and play in the tournament. We did. But the diplomat Banky was, he went ahead and played Constant Spring. We played this golf course, he went to Constant Spring and played in that tournament with the governor. He did, he was a diplomat. And having not played with us, he said, Courtney, we need to play. I need to play with Chris. Chris, I haven't played with Chris Daring in a long time. Chris is here in the crowd. We need to play. Set it up. I did. He wanted to play Monday. I said, Banky can't do it. I have some things to do, but I will make the arrangements and we will play. Call him Tuesday and say, Banky, where I go. Everything is set. 11:51, he and I spoke in the night. And I said, Banky, I'll pick you up at 7:15 and we're going to play. 5 minutes after, within 5-10 minutes, I got a call, the sad call, and that was it. We're here to celebrate Banky's life. That was the last thing he wanted to do, was to play golf. And he was going to play golf right here, and then he was going to jet to the country to spend time with my baby sister, Claudine, who is here. He was going to spend time celebrating her birthday. And it was sad. It was sad for me. But let me now move forward to the beginning of the movie. 1996, I started at Freddie Mac in McLean, Virginia. When I went there, Banky was there. He started in 1991. Within a week of being at Freddie Mac, this guy came into my office. I'm a young analyst. He came in my cube, and he came in and he said, "Yo, you're Bancroft Cephas." I said, "Courtney, I'm Courtney. Courtney Cephas, yeah, Courtney Bancroft." He said, "Yeah, I'm Bancroft Gordon." I said, "I know. Your reputation precedes you." He said, "How you know that?" I went to Howard. "You play ball?" I said, "I had reason to be around the ballers, so I know who you are. All right, this is a big baller, so I am nothing to Banky in that sense." And that's how we met. And then he said to me, "You know, your email says Bancroft Cephas." I said, "I know. We're going to change it. There can only be one Banky." I said, "I know." And so our friendship started there. And every single day since then, Banky and I, we had lunch together. We had if we didn't have lunch, it's because I wasn't there. He had a meeting or I had a meeting. We had lunch together and we chat and we talk about everything. We talk politics. We talk about what's going on in the US. We talk about what's going on in Jamaica. We talk about everything. If you know me, I'm a passionate person in discussions, and like many people, you want to get your point across. You want to get your point across. With Banky, our discussions were intellectual. They were honest. They were sincere. They were very disarming. Very disarming. When I speak to Banky, there was no agenda to push. He wasn't pushing one. He didn't try to change my mind. When I tried to change people's mind, I couldn't with Banky. It was disarming. We just spoke. We understood. And the discussion was always very, very civil. Thereafter, we worked out in the gym together at Freddie Mac. Every single day I was at the gym, he was at the gym. We worked out. And one day, we have a number of sporting facilities there. He saw me outside hitting a golf ball. We had a golf cage, and he saw me hitting a golf ball. And he came out and he said, you play golf? I said, yeah, man. Lovely sport, hard sport. You think football easy? Football easy, man. Try golf. And he took it up. He started to play golf, went off, and he played with some friends, got some golf clubs, and he played golf. Shortly after that, Banky and I were playing golf. Every single chance we got, at least one day out of the week at Freddie Mac, we found the time to play golf. Every single weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we played golf. He became an excellent golfer. We're at this golf course, not by accident. You're seeing these bags and tribute, not by accident. This is Banky, home away from home. And everything he did, he did it in such a way that was just wonderful. On the golf course, you learn a lot from him. One of the things, I'll never forget it, that he said to me in playing. He teaches you in ways that you don't know. He said to me in a conversation we were having, you know what I like about you and your brother? I love how you and your brother move. And that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot because I always take pride in setting an example for my younger brother. And here I saw Banky as an older brother who was just, in a simple word, he saw something and he said, Courtney, I like that. And that meant a lot. A lot was said about Banky. Those things that you heard, when you walk with Banky, you don't hear it from him. You don't hear it from him. You observe him and you see it. The coach mentioned something that was tremendous. He had humanity. And that is Banky at heart. Banky had great humanity. He does things for everyone. We are on the golf course and you would hear him get a call and if somebody's in trouble and he'll take the time and speak with them. That was the person. The one thing I will leave all of us with, and it was said by all the speakers, Banky was a lawyer, he was an athlete, he was a golfer, he was a father, he was a son, he was a brother, he was a diplomat, he was a philanthropist, he was a friend to many of us. He was my friend. And the one thing I would love to leave with all of you, because it has touched me, is this. No matter what platform we have, use that platform. Banky taught me this. Use that platform to reach back, to help somebody. That was how he was. I used to say to him, Banky, and I promise I will close. I used to say to him, Banky, I think you'll be good for Jamaica. Why don't you get in the circles? I think you'll be good for the reggae boys. Help them out. He looked at me and he said, Courtney, no. The politics is too thick. I will never make any progress there. And for him, it was right around him. The person he can help to get into school, the person that he can give $1, the person that he can talk to, the person that he can give an advice. He was helping a lot of people in a way he knew that he could do it. And as was said, tremendous amount of football players came up. But that is Banky. So to honor him, I will try as best as he did to use the platform that we all have, no matter what it is, to help someone. Banky was that person. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to read 3 license plates. Any one of you, if you can assist this gentleman in moving, would appreciate it. 7028JH, 9840GG, 5505HF. Please. Hold on one second. Do you know the make of the cars? Because some people, I've been told some people don't know their license plates. If any of those three license plates sound familiar, please, please, please assist. The gentleman would like to leave. All right, so we're moving on to our next speaker representing Marriott International, Mr. Cohen Heatbrink, the general manager for the AC Hotel.
Thank you so much. As you noticed, I walked up here to save some time. It's a distinct honor to be here today in front of families and so many loved ones. I think every single speaker before of me spoke from the heart, and that tells you about, the wealth of memories that are in this room today. So I wish my sincere condolences to everyone here. Closer? All right. I'm here to speak about my colleague and fellow hotelier, Banky. We've met about 8 years ago when I just came to Jamaica to open the Courtyard by Marriott in Kingston. And that was the first Marriott hotel. And before I came down, I remember the area vice president for this region telling me, and I hadn't set a foot in Kingston, he said, "You need to meet one person." I said, "Okay, who is this person?" He says, "Banky, you need to meet Banky." So he told me about Bancroft Gordon, about Banky, and how his push to get Marriott back into Jamaica was just relentless. In Jamaica, there are several investors, companies considering building a hotel. And Bancroft Gordon kept telling Marriott, make sure it's our brand, make sure it's my brand. So that brought me to Jamaica in 2015. I want to share a couple of comments that were made by David Marriott. David Marriott is the chairman of the board of Marriott International, and this was his eulogy, which was delivered literally, I believe it was 2 days after Bancroft's passing. It reads, "It is with heavy heart that we share that Bancroft Gordon, Marriott's former corporate secretary and assistant general counsel, passed away unexpectedly yesterday at the age of 66. While this news is a terrible blow, we take comfort in the fact that Bancroft was in his beloved Jamaica when he died. Bancroft joined Marriott in 2007 as vice president, senior counsel, and corporate secretary. He was promoted to assistant general counsel in 2014 with responsibilities for oversight on corporate governance matters, insider trading compliance, and management of corporate subsidiaries. So it was in this role as corporate secretary where he really distinguished himself, providing legal, administrative, and governance support to the company's board of directors and senior leadership. And Bancroft was a terrific liaison between the company, the board, and our shareholders, focusing on ensuring that Marriott's legal and regulatory requirements were met and that corporate governance best practices were followed. So while Bancroft was the consummate professional, it was his engaging nature and warm personality that made him who he was and so perfectly suited to work with Marriott's board. He made it a point of really getting to know each and every board member, and in turn they got to know him. He was generous with his time and always open to conversations about substantive topics of passions like golf, soccer, and his birthplace of Jamaica. On a side note, Bancroft once asked me if I play golf. And sadly, I had to tell him that no one would insure me. So we actually never went on the golf course, but he loved talking about golf and soccer. And while he was enthusiastic about talking to soccer, he was very humble when it comes to his achievements and his own exploits on the field. So as mentioned, he was a member of the Broward University men's soccer team where he was the squad's captain. He became an All-American and he was selected to the Senior Bowl. Equally important and undoubtedly a source of tremendous pride for Bancroft and his family. He represented Jamaica on the national team where he was the inaugural Kingston and St. Andrew Football Association's Major League Player of the Year in 1978. That was a season that saw him score 13 goals. Bancroft also played professional soccer for 2 years in the US. He moved through life with an ease and grace that was uniquely his. At a time when work wardrobe tended to casual, Bancroft brought style and refinement to his attire. And with one board member once commenting that no one can top Bancroft's shoe game. His clothes were just the outward manifestation of Bancroft's elegance as a human being. And this was a couple of days before his passing, and Bancroft was staying at my hotel, the AC Hotel in Kingston. And as I was walking up to the main driveway, and as you see I'm wearing glasses, I saw someone standing from afar, and I saw 3 very bright colors. It was yellow, it was light blue, and it was pink. And I knew that was Bancroft right there, so I actually found him on his way out to go meet some of his friends and do a speaking engagement. So, in a nutshell, whenever Bancroft would come home to Jamaica, he would stay home with us. And from messaging a couple of days before arrival to sending me resumes for candidates for internships, Bancroft always was looking out for others. And he wouldn't just send a message about an intern. He would send me another message asking me like, hey, what's going on? What's the follow-up? Any news? So I wanted to just end with a quote. It's a quote actually by John F. Kennedy, which I found to resonate. It says, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. He also said, a man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea is what lives on. Banky lived his life trying to change things for the better, one person at a time. So I would see him in the lobby talking to possible scholars for Broward, or bringing forward persons that could come up for mentorship awards, and he really focused on that one person at a time. So our message on behalf of the AC family, because we witnessed Banky over the last days of his life, he engaged every single team member of our hotel, and he's dearly missed. But our commitment to him is to keep on going and to keep on pushing to change for the better, one day at a time and one life at a time. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Cohen. And you've been living in Jamaica long enough to know it's football, Cohen, not soccer. All right, so to wrap up our messages tonight, and I would probably think this, all the messages were fantastic, all the messages were good, all the messages were important, but I think this is going to be the most important message for the night, coming from Bancroft's children, his 2 sons, Roland and Jalma, representing their sisters, Mackenzie and Jacqueline, who wasn't able to make it. So I see them down there having a conversation. I don't. Are you ready? All right. So Jalma and all right, so one is a white Mitsubishi, that's the 9840GG, a black BMW 5505 HF, that's the 5281 here, I'm not sure if that's a black BMW, and then a gray Santa Fe 7028JH. Please, 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 could you assist this gentleman? Thank you. All right, so from Bancroft children, we have Jalma, is older. And we have Roland, his 3rd child and 2nd boy, and they're going to now speak on behalf of their sisters and themselves.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody coming out. It's wonderful to hear all these stories, see all the outfits, and hear everybody take as much time as my dad does to tell any kind of story. So one thing I really wanted to get across was how important he was to me and how his lessons kind of just kind of shaped me to be who I am. And it's nice to hear some things that kind of confirm all the stories he's told me, and then a couple things I never heard before that make a little sense, because now I know I used to make so many jokes in elementary school and in middle school, because had to come from somewhere. But whenever I did get in trouble for talking or clowning around and my mom was like, look, we're getting dad here, I was never really worried or scared, because he never came at me with any kind of like anger, any kind of like disappointment or anything like that. And when he would hear me out, hear the problems that I was having or hear any issue, he'd just laugh at me. And I think we all know the laugh, that laugh. That's the laugh that let me know that everything's gonna be all right. That even though I'm feeling what I'm feeling, I'm gonna get through it. And to talk about one of the lessons he gave me was a schooling one. I was getting in trouble for talking, like I was saying, and he came in and he was like, what are you doing, man? And I was like, look, I'm just, I don't know, like, I finished my work, everybody's kind of just sitting there, I'm kind of bored, and he's like, look, man, like, you can mess around and do whatever you want to do if you got your grades up. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, a teacher's not going to bother you if you got an A in their class. If you're talking and they look at you and they're like, wait, he does his job, we'll let that go. Granted, you can't go overboard, but that was just part of some of the things that he instilled in me to let me know that everything's going to be all right. Approach all your issues with a very cool, collected head, because if you go into it angry, you already lost the battle. And I saw him about 4 days before he came down to visit. It was a great hangout. Just kind of updating him on everything that was going on, kind of just talking about everything. And I don't know what it is, something about talking to him and seeing him be like, oh, okay, that's good, really just puts a light in you and lets you know, all right, I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing. Because if my dad thinks it's a good thing, if my dad was co-signing, I know I can't do wrong. And I'm not going to get too long-winded, but to kind of piggyback off of what some of you guys were saying, but maybe changing up a bit, we do need more people like Bancroft Gordon, but I don't think we'll ever have another Bancroft Gordon. It would take too many lifetimes to really accomplish and come up to be the person that he was. But one thing I do think we can all strive to do is be the kind of person that he would want to be around. Because if he wanted to be around you, that means you were the pinnacle of what you were doing. My dad doesn't hang out with bozos. My dad doesn't hang out with bums. So thank you again for coming out. Thank you so much for saying all your kind words and giving all your stories and just kind of reiterating what I already knew, how great my dad was. There was never a smarter or cooler guy in the room, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him a lot. Thank you.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you all for gathering here to celebrate the life of my father, the legendary man, my father, Bancroft, aka Banky Gordon. Before I go into my speech, I want to give a special thanks to Mike McPherson, aka Mac P, aka OG, triple OG, for putting all this together. I almost didn't make it. Some of you don't know, one of my flight was canceled, but he would not let me say no. So special thanks to him, man. Appreciate it. And to my auntie Beverly for coordinating all this, and big shout outs to my auntie Beverly and anyone else that had part in this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a greatly unexpected loss to not only our immediate family, but also the countless lives he's touched along his journey. He was a well-respected figure in the Jamaican football community for his achievements in athletics. These these achievements carried him to America, where he used the same discipline to excel in academics at Howard University, then later Harvard Law School, which I always used to brag to my friends about. This completed his transformation from an exceptional student athlete to a corporate attorney. This is essentially where my story began. Growing up, I was a very observant youth, and it was always evident that my father was a special man. I didn't fully understand why, but it was obvious from an early age, especially looking back, realizing most of my brethren in the States didn't even have a father, let alone one that was articulate. Sorry about that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Let me gather. Especially, let alone one that was successful, articulate, who served, thank you, sorry, who served as a shining example of what it is to be a man. I always observed he was the center of attention amongst his peers. He was an outstanding leader by example that taught and coached his peers, and most importantly, the youth. I never knew a time when he wasn't directly helping others he kept close, which is a rare and powerful trait required for leadership. Many never even acquire the resources to display such generosity, not only financially, but from passing down his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of life. As I grew older, I didn't see my father much until I started working with him at the Marriott International headquarters in 2016. From the age of 33 to 36, I got to see him 5 days a week, which was, I didn't realize it till afterwards, but it was a pleasure because we all go to work. You might see your co-workers more than your family, and that was my situation. So to see him in his corporate environment, and it was a pleasure. It was a very unique experience seeing him receive the same respect in the corporate world as he did in the football community. For all of us who loved and respected my father, please honor him, not only by taking care of others as he did, but by taking care of yourselves. Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. Your body is a vehicle. You only get one, so we must maintain it as if we'll never get another, because we won't. Your mind is the computer processor, so you must keep your thoughts clean as well. Be mindful of what you're watching, thinking, and being distracted and influenced by, especially in these times we're living in. Your spirit is the spark that gives you your unique personality and perspective on life. In respects to the request to take care of yourselves, here's a little cheat sheet called The Root of Sickness in 5 bullet points. The food you're eating, you must watch what you're eating. There's so many GMOs, you got the sodas, the candies. These things are killers over time, so you must watch what you're consuming. Toxins and chemicals, everything from soaps to hand sanitizers, lotions, makeups, hair products, vaccines, petroleum-based medicine, toxic, polluted environments. Be mindful of your environment. The things we can't see, the Wi-Fi, the radiation from these phones, the microwaves, 1 through 5G. Be mindful of your exposure to this. It's called EMF radiation, electromagnetic frequencies. Oxygen deprivation, which can lead to cells becoming cancerous. Lack of exercise, obesity, sleep apnea, respiratory disease. These can result from a lack of oxygen, so be mindful of that. Especially in the past 3 years where they were requesting us to wear masks containing polyester fibers, fiberglass, and Morgellons. Not to mention breathing in your own toxic carbon dioxide. The last but most important of all, stress. Physical, mental, and spiritual stress is the spark to all diseases. You must manage your stress. Talk to someone if you need to talk to someone. My father was not a religious man, and I've been finding my way there as of late. The word, not necessarily religion. And I'll leave you with a verse I've heard since a young lad. Ephesians 6:12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. I want to share a quick moment of silence with all of you that have attended in celebration of his life. Thank you for letting me speak. Rest in power to my father, the legendary Bancroft Gordon. You will forever be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland and Jalmo, for your reflections on your dad. All right, so this is where we sort of say goodbye in terms of the formal program. We can continue to mingle, talk, chat, get to know each other as the evening continues. And, just to say, my brother was one of the kindest persons I knew. Bancroft would, if you tell Bancroft you like him shirt, he would probably take it off and give it to you. He was that kind of person. And believe you me, my drawer is full of t-shirts and shorts and everything that I usually steal from him whenever I see him, because he's like that. He was kind with everything. He wasn't afraid to give, and I pray that we will continue his legacy in terms of treating people with respect, being kind to others, and lifting others up as we find our way in this journey called life. One of the things that we here all know about Bancroft is that he did it his way. He lived a full life, he lived life on his terms, and he did it his way. And before we go into the final song for the night, which is Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way, I would just really like to say thank you to 4 gentlemen. I know there are a lot of people behind the scenes who made this happen, but I just want to recognize Mac P, Brian, Courtney putting food in the mouth down there, and Ollie. Thank you. I'm sure there are other people in the background who made this happen, but I just want to thank you so very much for your support, your kindness, your, tenacity in ensuring that this happened and that we celebrate Bancroft tonight. So thank you all very much for coming. All right, so thank you all so very much for coming. Thank you, Mac P, again, for ensuring that my 3 nephews and nieces got here Sorry, Jacqueline couldn't come once again, but I'm so happy that they were able to be here to hear, you know, about their father, stuff they didn't hear or know before, and also to right. So, and also to my siblings, you know, who have been a part of Bancroft's journey, of course, from, you know, as family. I hear stories. Last night we were just sitting there sharing some stories, you know, about, you know, each of our journey as Bancroft, as our brother. And thank you to the many friends, the many loved ones, the dear friends. And, you know, I'm going to address the elephant in the room because this is who my brother was. So this is who my brother was, so I'm going to address it. And I'm just going to say, outside of all the friends and the colleagues, thank you to all the ladies who loved my brother. We know he was a ladies' man. We all know, so I am just going to say thank you all very much. He was loved, he was cherished, and and, you know, thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you. There's going to be a slideshow. And so we're just going to continue to look at the screen as you eat, as you talk. There's going to be a slideshow of pictures of Banky over the years, so you can reminisce and look at those as we close off. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you here. And Ollie, are we ready with the Frank Sinatra? All right, thank you very much.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got if not himself?